Welcome back. I have no idea what episode it is for the 6 people that actually watch this. We are going to review the movie Gray. Is it Gray or The
The
Gray?
Gray. The
The
Gray.
Gray with Liam Neeson. As you can see, we've got the wolves in the background. This was
No, I got Liam.
well, in the end, the very last scene,
Is
he
this guy?
gives Wolf. Okay, first of all,
Yeah, he's like,
can we talk about the fact that I would marry Liam Neeson if he showed up at my door?
but he would need to capture me and take me away like he does in the movies because I ain't marrying him unless we have that kind of lifestyle.
No, 100%. I want to live in a cabin in the middle of Alaska and have him hunt and fish for me. And I will just stay in the house with like bearskin rugs everywhere. I have no shame about this. I love this movie. This is actually the second time I've sat and watched the whole entire thing. I watched it when it first came out because I love him so much.
Yeah, I seen it too
And
when it first came out.
okay, how many reviews have we done where the movie's just been garbage? Like, I was happy to finally watch a movie where I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a good one.
Yeah,
So
like I first saw it remember when Netflix was purely DVDs and you would get them in the mail?
oh my gosh, you just brought back so many memories. And you could do like 2 or 3 a month depending on what you paid for. And as long as you
Exactly.
sent them back in the
hmm
postage, oh my gosh, we're
Yeah,
so old.
I
That just
know,
made my day.
exactly. So that's how I saw it. That was like the first time I saw it, probably when I was living in like New York or whenever. But
Yeah, when did it come out?
2001 or 2011. See, now you're gonna make me grab my
Bro.
IMDb. That's how I get all my information.
I want to say it's 2011. I don't think it's
It could be
that.
2011. You're right,
Yeah.
2011.
Yeah.
2011. So where was I living? Texas. So then I saw it in Texas. But I remember back then I liked it. I liked it because Liam Neeson and just the whole story was just really interesting. And then this time I was like, okay, I gotta watch it again. It's been a long time. And I liked it again. Like
Yeah.
honestly, I couldn't remember any of it. All I
Yeah.
knew was that it was Liam and wolves and snow,
And
and it was
were
so
you
good.
on your phone this time? Or did you actually watch it? Yeah.
I was watching it. I
Yeah.
know it's hard for me.
That's what I'm saying. I was so happy because I was like, finally a movie I'm gonna actually enjoy watching. Because I'm too like pragmatic to watch movies anymore. I love this movie and I love any movie that's about like survival. Like
Mm,
in the jungle, in the forest,
hmm
whatever. Cause I feel like that could so happen.
Oh yeah, anything that can actually happen, anything that's true, like it makes it 10 times more interesting because you're like you can imagine yourself in it. You can put
Correct.
yourself in the movie. Yeah.
Okay, so with that being said, which character were you?
Which character was I? Um, I would say I was definitely not Liam. Um, I would probably be a mix between Dermot Mulroney. I know. Again, I forgot he was in this movie, and I was
He's
like,
so delicious.
I
Okay.
know. I was like, okay, Liam will be my husband, and Dermot will be my side piece. But,
Yes. Mine as well. We will share.
I think I was a mix between like him and then, well, actually, it's probably like a three-parter. Him, the nerdy guy, the white nerdy guy.
Skinny kind of looks like he's a meth addict. A little
No,
bit.
not that guy.
Long
Not
hair.
that guy. No, the short
Oh.
hair, the guy that drowned. Oops, sorry, spoiler alert.
We're gonna talk about that scene. Okay,
I
yeah,
know.
he's a
Um,
sweetheart. Yeah, I loved
I
him.
know. And then the Mexican guy that kind of gave up at the end, but he was like trying to be all tough, but you really knew he was like freaked
Oh
out
my
the whole time.
gosh,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah,
So I
he
was just kind of like that.
I'm definitely Liam Neeson. I'm a
Yeah.
hundred percent like Bear Grylls. Like I my like the way my personality is, you put me in a crisis, I'm like, let's do this. Oh, we need tourniquets, we need like fires going. We're gonna figure this out. I'm gonna save all y'all.
Well,
That's
I'm the
me.
same way, but I'm more like timid about it. I'd be like, I think this is what we
Mm-mm,
should do. But he's
mm-mm.
so knowledgeable. I'm like, I'm not even that knowledgeable. Like,
Okay, let's do a quick synopsis then. Okay.
okay.
Just quickly for anyone who hasn't seen it. So um Liam Neeson is like the main character. There's a group of these guys, they all work in Alaska. and they're going to like this big job now, right? In the middle of nowhere, like snow everywhere, you get it. And plane crashes, and only like 7 or 8 people survived the plane crash, which, by the way, how did anybody survive? It was like blown to
I
pieces.
know.
And they land in the middle of nowhere, and like immediately the first night when it's dark, the wolves descend. Okay, so
Yeah.
this is like immediately you get it, like, okay, they're going to be fighting these wolves the whole time. So they're fighting the wolves, and they're also like, of course, kind of fighting amongst themselves. Not bad though. Like, there's other movies where I see people like immediately they're like, screw you, I'm going off on my own. And you're like, you idiot.
Yeah.
These guys were tough though. Like, all of them were tough dudes. They like worked in the freezing
Well,
cold.
they drilled oil or what have you in
Yeah.
Alaska. Like, you got to be pretty tough to do that.
Right. So plane goes down. He basically like takes account. He wakes up. He's like, what the heck? I survived. He takes account. He like gathers up all the men, and immediately like people are dying. Like the few that survived, they start to die. But he basically is like rallying around. He's like, we need to start a fire. We need to like collect the wallets so we can tell everybody who died. Like he in
Yeah.
his mind is like, we're surviving. Like I don't even know
Yeah.
what it's like. But it's because, and this is what makes the movie so good, the night before the plane crash, he was going to commit suicide.
Yeah.
And you find this out because his wife died.
Yeah.
And he just basically before the plane crash is going through like an existential crisis, which I'm like, I relate to that. But he says something in the movie like, I don't really believe in God, but I believe in what's happening right now. So
Yeah.
you understand he wants to survive. He doesn't want to die. And so it's just a very good like survival movie. Like you're trying to survive against the wolves, you're trying to survive against the nature and each other.
Yeah.
And I do want to talk about some of the death scenes
Yeah.
that are not even caused by the wolves, by the way.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Well, indirectly caused by the wolves, I guess I should
Yeah.
say.
Because
Yeah.
they're like, so they're essentially what, running from the wolves the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
So that's the synopsis on The Gray. And it's just very like, what's that? How do you say it? Like, the suspense is, there's always something like you fear, there's something fearful
Yeah.
always happening.
Which is what I was going to say. Like, this is not really a horror movie, which is
Mm-mm.
so it doesn't really go with like our podcast thing, but you are scared the whole time
Yeah.
in a way. It's just real life scared. It's not supernatural scared. And or almost, it's not really supernatural, but it is how do I say, like,
I
these wolves
mean,
are so strong and so smart that it does seem like, how are they this good? But then it's just because they're wild.
right, but in the same sense, like they could have taken this to the level of like making them super wolves, and they didn't.
Yeah. Yeah,
And they
no, they didn't. They
didn't.
were just normal timber wolves, is what I think me and my
Yeah.
husband were saying. They're just timber
Yeah.
wolves.
And
They're
so it
giant.
and honestly, that's realistic. Like 100%, if
Right.
you're in the wild, a wolf, if they smell blood, they will come find you and eat you. So
Yeah, or if you're in their territory, they will defend it. So it's
yeah.
just like, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just I was very happy because I've been very upset with some of the movies we've been seeing lately because they're just
Crap.
garbage. Like they're just
Yeah.
trash, you know. This is not a, I wouldn't say it's a jump scare, but it's an internal scare. It's like a, what would I do in that situation? And
Oh, yeah.
man, and then, you know, and of course they're freezing. It's like blizzard.
Yeah.
So
My hands were sweating the whole time because I was so scared for them. Yeah. I kept on like wiping off my hands.
and you are like, I don't know if you were, but I felt like I'm waiting for the wolf to jump out at any time.
Oh, yeah, because they just kept jumping out like any time. So you're waiting for them to jump out at any time.
Right. So like the first death, let's just jump in. He's
When the
taking
guy,
he's taking a piss. Everybody's there, but he happened to just wander, I don't know, 20
No,
feet.
he was standing watch.
Yeah.
It was his turn to stand watch because they had crashed. They had gotten themselves together, and they knew that the wolves were out there because a wolf had started eating a dead body. Liam Neeson saw it, and he was
Yes.
like, "Get away from it!" And they attacked him, and then he was like, oh crap, like you kind of go like, how did you guys not know that there was wolves? Because that's what Liam Neeson was there for. He was the spotter for the guys that were working out in the snow. He was supposed to snipe the wild animals.
But
So
he kind of like reveals that to them. So
what?
it's, I don't know that they knew exactly that that's what he did, but
I don't think they realized that he was military. I think they knew that's what
Right.
he did because he did kill the wolf in front of
Right.
that team of drillers. But I don't think they realized like
'Cause-
how
right, because it was
great
just
he
a
was.
flash. It was just like a quick flashback.
Yeah.
And so he basically tells them and us, the audience, like, this is what I do. This is, I don't question me. I know about wolves.
Yeah, like
I
I'm a
know about this.
survivalist. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So, which sets up the story so good because you're like, okay, we've got at least one dude who is going to be able to handle this. He scraps with a damn wolf, gets his leg shredded open. I think so. In general, just really good movie, but let's talk about some of the deaths because
Okay, so the first one.
So the very first
they
one,
know the wolves are there.
Mhm.
He's standing watch because they're like, okay, we have to stand watch. We cannot all go to sleep, or they will surround us and get us because they know we're here. So this guy Rodriguez, I think was his name. He is standing watch, and he decides to go take a pee away from the plane, like you do when you're stupid in a movie where there's huge wolves.
Freaking wolves. You're like,
I
let me
know.
just go by myself.
I gotta pee. Let me not tell anybody or whatever. So he goes off, and as he's peeing, he gets attacked by a wolf, and then another one comes, and he's dead, and nobody even knows because they don't hear him because he walks far enough away to where they don't hear the attack.
Yeah. Oh well, and it's like it's windy and blizzardy, and
They're
like
not going to hear it.
no.
So then they don't discover him until the next day, and then
And is he?
death,
And they didn't even like. What did they say? They didn't even eat him.
no,
they just killed him.
And that sets it up. Yeah, that sets
Yeah.
up the movie where you're like, these deaths are not for food. They are for, I don't want to say revenge, but just they're
like
getting
what
rid of
territory?
Them.
Yeah, territory, and they're like picking off, whoever's
one by one
not
as they
right
can.
in the
Exactly.
So that's like the first. That's a good death too because I really like how the producers made, like, it's a very bloody, visceral movie. So it's not,
Yeah, it is,
you're not gonna, there's like, I wouldn't even say there's like more than a handful of like cuss words. It's just
Diaz cusses a lot, but it's not like
it's
that.
not
No.
it's not even rated R for that. It's rated R because the gore,
it's
gory, and bodies are ripped open, and the one guy's like cut in half from the plane, and they're eating the girl's face, and it's very well done because it looks really realistic.
Yeah.
So like your
and the white snow helps to make the blood pop.
Yeah. So so when they come out to find his body, it's a beautiful scene because the white perfect snow, and then his body, and this blood is just like haloed around. It was beautiful. That was a good death. So a couple of people died from like injury and sickness. I don't really care about them.
Well, but I mean, like, you don't really care, like, well, the next death, okay, but here's the thing, and this is why I think they all ended up not surviving. I think this is very important. I think they should have stayed with the plane. I know that the wolves were trying to surround them, but they would have had shelter. They could have fought them off. They had weapons there and all that. They were exposed when they left, and that was Liam's mistake. That was why they died, honestly.
Yes. And I agree with you because you had they had so much debris. Had they really planned it out, they could have like covered up the plane, put some sort of
structure.
And realistically, like in the beginning, they're like, oh, let's pull all the dead bodies out. And the other guy was like, no, we don't need to do that. And I'm like, no, you should have done that. You should have taken the dead bodies and pulled them away from the plane.
Yeah.
And put them out, like, so if someone was flying over, they're going to see these bodies. They're going to see
a mass of things. Yeah.
So I agree with you because in the end, you see exactly that he made that mistake. So I don't want to talk about the end scene yet.
No. But that's what I mean. They should have. And I honestly, though, didn't realize that they should have stayed at the plane till the end because so like sure of himself. He's so smart that you're like, oh yeah, do what he says. Go to the trees and da da
Yes.
da.
And he
Yeah.
does, he says it very confidently. He's like, we can't stay here. And I'm like, bro, it's going to be -10. You have an enclosed capsulated thing that keeps the
But
wind
I
off
still
you.
believed him.
But that's why it's so good, because then at the
Yeah.
very end, you understand what happened is he got outsmarted, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay, what was
Essentially.
the next death that
So
was
the
really
next
good?
death, they had decided to leave the plane. They had decided to walk. As they're going though, they don't have like snowshoes. The snow is like up to their knees. So every time you take a step, your knee goes
Oh
it goes
yeah.
to your knee.
Yeah.
So one of the guys is like kind of dragging behind. He can't keep up. And that is the Scraggle guy, right? That's the
Yes.
scraggly, junky
He
looking guy.
he's the one that was joking about the plane
Oh yeah, he jinxed them.
crashing. Yeah,
And he
and
jinxed them.
they were
Yeah.
like mad at him. They were like, "You put bad juju on us." He's like,
Yeah.
"Not the pilot, y'all. What the hell?"
I'm a firm believer in bad juju and jinxing. Like I will knock on wood. Like all that. So I really think he did jinx him. He
I
kind of
love it.
deserved to die.
Yeah.
But
P.S. I don't know that guy's name, but he's actually a really good actor.
yeah, he was good.
He's in that movie Across the Universe. Have you ever seen that?
Not the main character.
No, he's the brother that goes to war.
Oh, I'm gonna have to watch it again. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know what you're talking about, but I don't remember the face.
Yeah, he's super underrated, but I think he's British or something. He's a really good actor. I like him.
Oh well, he did a really good American accent.
He's not American, but sidebar. But he's
I
good in
know.
this movie. And the reason I called him a meth head is because he's so skinny,
Oh, skinny, and then the scraggly hair, and then
greasy.
white.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. But I
So
liked his character. He was kind of funny in the movie. So
yeah, that's why when he died, you're like, oh man.
oh yeah,
Like
sorry.
that
Okay.
sucks.
Okay. Cut back to his death.
Yeah. So he had fallen behind, and he literally had said, "Oh, it's fine, guys, just leave me here. The wolves will get me." And then, like literally 10 seconds later, you see like 3 wolves come out of the blizzard, and they're just running up behind him, and you're like, "Oh, see you, Cracky."
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, dude. You should have gained about 500 pounds.
Yeah, seriously. So that's
Okay.
how he had died.
There's a couple more deaths after that, but I want to talk about Dermot Mulroney's death
Oh,
because
harsh.
okay, so to
But we
preempt
gotta say how it gets to there.
okay,
How he
okay.
gets to there. Yeah.
So to preempt his death. Now granted, if you aren't going to watch, I'll tell you, but the group of guys at this point are pretty much all kind of getting that they've got to stick together.
Yeah.
They're not going to survive. They're not really
Mm-mm.
fighting anymore.
And they were at first, until the one that was like really just antagonizing everybody actually gets attacked
Yeah.
from behind. And then I think he finally, well, I think he knew how serious it was, but he was trying to have this bravado. And I think he finally realized, I got to stop fooling around, and I got to just work together with these guys and stop being difficult, because I'm going to get myself killed.
Exactly. And it's like, I'm the big honcho. I'm a big shot until I'm sorry, I have my neck ripped open by a wolf.
Yeah. He literally had a wolf on his back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dermot Mulroney. Okay, so at this point in the movie, we've moved along a little bit. They're sitting around because they have to have a fire at all times. It's so cold. There's no way.
Yeah.
So they're sitting around the fire, and at this point, it's getting sentimental because now they've been out into the wilderness a few days. They're, no food, no water. They're trying their best. They all have injuries, and they're exhausted, and they're sitting around the fire, and they're talking about, like, I don't know, stories or people that they want to talk about that just make them feel good because they're so miserable.
Like, who do you love, and like who's important to you?
Yeah. And at this point, you're seeing flashbacks of Liam Neeson's wife, and you're starting to understand there's like something going on with him.
Yeah, because you don't know that she died at first. Honestly, I thought she had just left him.
No,
like they divorced or something.
It's like the movie John Wick. She dies right in the beginning of the movie, and it sets the tone for the whole movie. So you kind of are questioning it along the way. So Dermot Mulroney is sitting there, and he starts talking about his daughter, and she's maybe 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And he's divorced, and he's like, oh, she has this long, beautiful hair to her waist, and I refuse to let her cut it. And she likes to take her hair and like lay her head and put her hair over my face and tickle me. And it's obviously a very beautiful and lovely experience for him. So let's talk about him dying.
Okay, so here's what leads up to his death. They are doing that. They're all talking about their sentimental stuff. They actually lose another one of their people, a black guy who actually he had
he dies from
hypoxia.
altitude. Yeah,
Yeah, he
like
dies from
altitude
altitude
poisoning.
sickness. He like passes out. They can't wake him up, so he freezes to death. Then they keep going. They realize, like Liam Neeson had said, we have to move away. There's a reason why they're following us. We're either in their den or close to their den or in their territory. Their territory is huge, so we got to move away.
Right.
So they keep going, keep going. They're down to
there's like four of them. That's it.
Now.
That's it.
Yeah, they're down to 4 of them, and they get to the edge of this cliff, and they can't go forward anymore because it's like a mountain cliff, and then empty space. Oh, yeah. Excuse me, microphone. Empty space, and then trees like maybe 50 feet away.
Yeah.
So now they're like, well, we can either go back, which is where the wolves are, and they're just kind of closing in on them, or we can try and make it like rig up something so we can make it over into the trees and then climb down from the tree.
And I want to say this too. All along, these guys are very trusting of Liam because he's like, no, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing.
Yeah, he doesn't really ask, do you want to do this? He just says, this is what we're doing.
And I swear to you, every time he says that, someone dies. So I'm like, why do you guys keep listening to him? Maybe he's not.
They're not really listening to him.
Yeah,
if you think about it, they're kind of, but they're doing it. What do you mean shock?
Like, I feel like they don't really even know, like without him, they probably would have just sat there.
Probably, because they probably would have made it if they just sat at the plane. Anyway.
Okay. I agree. No. But I agree with you. This is why I'm like starting to harp on him, because I'm like, at this point, Liam, you're leading everyone to their deaths. What's happening, bro?
Okay. He did it on purpose. No, he didn't do it on purpose. Anyways, okay. So now they've decided that they're going to rig up, like they're going to tie clothes together and blankets and all this stuff, tie it to the mountain somehow, and then the nerdy guy with the glasses, the white nerdy guy with the glasses, he like runs and he jumps and he hangs onto the tree. So he kind of has created a zip line type thing.
Which, by the way, that entire scene was so ridiculous.
Can we just? My hands were tingling because I'm afraid of heights. Like I would never be able to do that. I would have never been able to do that, because what they had to do was they had to hang on to the rope and like scoot. Wow, I have a double chin. They had to like scoot.
Me too. Sidebar. Okay.
Like across to the trees. And I get it, because when you're that high up, like you freeze, so even right now I can feel the fear in my hands.
Okay, but this is my problem with the whole scene. Why did they have to do it like that? Why didn't they just walk along the ridge until they could get to a place that they could get down? It was just like, we're doing it.
Because look at how often and out of the blue the wolves attack them. They don't know how much time they have until the next attack.
Fine. I'll let you have it. I'm not happy with it. I'm not happy with that one scene. That's all I'm saying.
No, I get it. Like, me too. I was like, there's no way to climb down. There's like, why is the lightest guy making the jump? It should be the heaviest guy to test the line.
Yeah. P.S. Why didn't Liam make the jump? He just sent that
those
guy.
Dummies wouldn't be able to go after him. They would have been too scared. But anyways, okay. So now they have the line across. The white guy's already across. Diaz goes across pretty much no problem. Well, actually, the line almost breaks completely. They have to like,
of course,
snaps, suspense, and then they have to,
the whole shenanigans.
But it's fine. So Diaz goes across, and then it's just Liam and Dermot. And Liam's like, well, like, what's up? Because Dermot's like kind of spaced out. Yeah. Well, I'm just afraid of heights. And Liam even tells him, like, why don't you go first? Like, it'll be fine. Just you go first, and I'll be here in case anything happens. Dermot should have listened. But Dermot's like, no, you go. I'm gonna like psych myself up,
Yeah. He's like, let me wrap my mind around the fact that I am about to shimmy across a 40-foot gap with
not even 40. 40 foot, 200 feet down.
At least 200 to 300 feet down with an injured hand
Oh,
and
no.
0 experience doing anything like this.
Yeah.
And it's held together by shirts tied to each other.
Yeah, I know. I feel like this guy wasn't a drill guy. I feel like he was in the office filing the paperwork. Like
No,
Dermot wasn't yeah.
he was 100% like the backhoe operator, and he never left camp.
No,
I just want to put it
Mm-mm.
out there. Anyway,
He wasn't. Okay, so of course Liam has no problem going across the line. He does cartwheels across it. Like he has no he tightrope
he
walks
really
it. Like
did jump on that. He literally shimmied so fast. I was like, okay.
Oh, I know. Yeah, he was out of there.
Bye.
Yeah.
See you later, bro.
Oh man. So then Dermot gets on it, and he gets on it the wrong way. My husband and I were talking about this. He got on it just like everybody else, but he was facing the wrong way. He went head first.
Yes.
And he should have gone feet first in case anything happened.
Well,
but whatever.
and so if you've ever shimmied, done a military, thing, it's your legs are supposed to essentially be locked in.
Mm-hmm.
And you move them at one time, and then you move your arms. So you're not holding on like this.
No.
You're hooked on
Yeah.
to this part of your arm. So you're sort of just shimmering like an inchworm.
Yeah.
Right.
But his boots were so thick. They were wearing so many clothes. He couldn't get his feet to cross. He had an injured hand. He was trying to
he had glasses. The glasses played a role.
They did. Oh my God, they did. Yeah, so he's just struggling, and he's afraid. He keeps looking down, so it's causing him to just panic.
And it's like windy now that
windy.
He's in the thing.
Yeah, he got the worst conditions. He really did. It was like sunny, butterflies were flying for everybody else. He gets on there, and it's like the frozen tundra.
But I love his death, though.
It was painful. It was good. So anyways, he decides to look down. His glasses fall. He tries to catch them like a dummy. And then that's when I guess it just snaps, right? The line snaps. I feel like he's moving too much in a weird way on the line. And so the line snaps. He just basically, what's that called? Drops.
Like free falls.
He just free falls. Bam! Hits the tree. Hits every branch on the way down. Hits the ground. And at first you think he's just stunned. And then he coughs up like this mouth of blood.
Yes. And then he just takes his last breath.
Basically, he's just laying there, and he's all of a sudden, this is probably the part you like, so I'll let you say it, but all of a sudden it goes into like a different scene.
Yeah. So he lands, and like I said, this is like super visceral, right? So like we're not talking, oh, you got a little gash. No, he is 100% covered in blood. There's pine cones stuck to his skin. I
feel like he got impaled. I feel like at one point he got impaled, and that's why he's coughing up blood.
And I thought they would show that he had like a stick through his stomach or something.
Yeah.
They didn't, but what happens is everybody sort of has like a little moment right before they die. And his moment, he looks up and he says hello he sees his daughter. And she comes over and she rubs her hair on his face, and he dies.
And then you realize that it's the wolves eating him, that his dying body has interpreted into his daughter rubbing her hair on her, because as they pull out of the fantasy, you see 2 wolves on him, and they just freaking drag him away.
And I just want to say, what good writing, because I love any movie that can create a scenario with 0 dialogue. And so when you see her hair pull away and then you hear the wolves come in, you're like, yes, he's dead. But you're like, damn, he's dead. Like, he died horribly. He hit every branch. He had to have broken every limb. His nose had to have been busted. His head had to have been gashed in. And so but
he had a peaceful death.
He did,
because think that's what was important.
Yes, I will agree with you. And that's why I said this movie is good, because there's sort of this weird existentialism to it. Like, it's not just gruesome. It's everybody's, like I said, sort of gets a moment to like have a moment about God or dying or someone they love.
Yeah.
Like the black dude, remember, he talks to his little sister that had died way before then.
Yeah.
And so it's a very small, very subtle, like existential thing. And Liam kind of carries that too, which makes the movie feel more real. It doesn't feel like, oh, people are just dying, like, oh, well, the wolves just ate people. No, you start thinking about them as people.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought it was so good. So his death was very like, did I have a tear in one eye? Yeah, I did. I
Well,
had
yeah,
like a
because his
tiny baby
daughter,
tear.
yeah, it was a good death.
And it was a
His
very gruesome death. And I
oh
loved that it
yeah,
was gruesome. Like, who
'cause the
doesn't love
wolves
a
literally
good,
pulled him away. Yeah,
it's like when someone jumps off a building in a movie and instead of them pulling the camera away right before the body hits and you just hear it, they actually show the body hit and you're like, oh, but then you're like, oh, I can't take my
yeah.
eyes off. I
Oh no,
can't.
it's like morbid fascination. You want to see it. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
it was
kind of
good.
sick. Anyway,
It was
okay.
good.
Why don't you tell me about your death? Because
My death? I don't
the
know how I'm gonna
the
die.
I do. Um the
Creepy.
guy, the nerdy white dude that you like,
Oh, okay.
his
So,
death is
well, his wasn't the
so
next one. I don't. Okay,
no.
but we got to talk about the next step because I don't really
Okay.
understand it.
Oh, are
Um,
you talking about the guy who sits on the log?
yeah.
Let's
Well,
talk about
I
it.
mean, I get it. Like, I get why he did that. I think because he already knew he was dying. Okay, so this is Diaz, the one who was the most difficult at first. He didn't want to pay attention. He didn't want to do what Liam was doing until he got attacked and realized the severity of the situation. He
And
thought he could just like
he
box his way out.
okay, let me ask you before you talk about it, just really quick. Did you feel at that point, before he did what he did, didn't you feel like they were getting close to getting out? Like, didn't you feel like,
Yes.
no, come
Yes.
on, we're almost there, we're almost there, we're almost
Yeah.
there? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
let's
do.
talk about it.
Okay. So there are kind of hints as to him getting sick. The same night or the night before the black guy dies, you hear Diaz coughing,
Mm-hmm.
but you kind of just think to yourself, I mean, it's freaking cold. Like everybody's coughing, but no,
Right.
it's just Diaz and the black guy who's also sick. So, okay, all this has happened. Now I mean, their friend has been dragged away by the wolves, so it's just three left. They're walking again, and now they've heard water, and they're like, "There's a river nearby, or whatever." So they go and they get on the river because they think, river, it'll lead to
Well, yeah, that
civilization.
was the goal for jumping the ridge, was like, oh, if we get to water, we'll find somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're walking along, and as he had been climbing down from the tree after they jumped across, he hurt his knee. So now he's having a hard time because they're walking on like rocks and stuff, which is better than the snow, but it's hard for somebody who has a knee injury.
Right.
And he's just getting sicker and sicker. And you can tell he's not really coughing that much. He's not really complaining, but his face is really pale. So you can see that. Finally, they're walking along the river and he's like, I'm done, guys. Like I'm done. Like I don't want to go on
Right.
anymore. I don't have anything to live for. What am I going on for? I don't have a wife. I don't have kids. The last time I had sex was with a whore who was like
Oh my
53.
gosh.
Yeah. Like,
He
you know,
does. He talks about the last time that he had sex was with a 250-pound half Eskimo.
yeah, half Eskimo
And
prostitute who gave him the clap. And he's just like,
listen,
yeah.
I I'm not a prude by any chance, but I some things I'm like, I'm sorry, that's not funny. I'm sorry, that was funny. I laughed so hard at that part. Even the second time watching it, I'm like, it's because they laugh once and then there's a second round of laughter as they
Because they
thought
all think
about it.
about it again. Yeah.
And I'm like, no, that's really freaking funny. And he basically is like, I don't want to die. I want to go sleep with someone beautiful. And you're like, I respect it, sir.
Yeah.
I respect it.
Mhm. Exactly. So that's what he's saying. He's like, he's up by the river and he's like, I don't have anything to push on for, and I don't want to push on. And he points to the view and he's like, look at this view. What more can I ask for in my death?
Right.
And so there,
It is.
what?
I mean, it was beautiful.
It was a really good view. I mean, take a picture and keep going, but whatever. That's just me.
On his phone, which, by the way, we didn't
What
even
was that
mention
watch?
this. We didn't even mention this. Where were their phones?
So I noticed at the initial plane crash, okay, Dermot Mulroney had a satellite phone. You didn't, I don't know if you noticed it, but he was trying to make a call and you hear it going doot, 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 doot. He couldn't get a signal.
Okay, and I understand that, but no one had a cell phone. No one brought a cell phone, was like, hey, I'll at least take this with me just in case.
I mean, 2011.
I know, but still, like they had a watch with a damn antenna. Nobody had a flip phone. I didn't think about it
I
till I
want
watched it the second time, and then I was like,
no,
wait.
I thought about it. I thought about it, but I also thought, well, they're in the middle of Alaska. How much signal could you have? I think that's just sort of one of those plot holes that we have to sort of overlook.
Or I'm just thinking too much of like modern, where scary movies and cell phones have now become synonymous with each other.
Oh, it
Maybe.
could be. Yeah.
I didn't notice it until the end. I was like, wait, does no one have a phone? Like
I
I
know. And then
had
like, why wasn't Dermot like keep trying the phone as they're walking? Like, that's what
a
I
okay.
thought too. Like, where is the satellite phone? Like, keep
So
trying.
so that was, but I will say this, it wasn't a plot hole that ruined the movie or anything. It
No,
wasn't like I
because
even thought about it until after.
no, because you think plane crash, you think everything's ruined, everything's broken. Because at first I
Right.
was like, where is his gun? Why is he trying to fight off these things with freaking shotgun shells or whatever and a
Right.
stick? But I was like, where's his gun? And he did find his gun at one point and then he threw it away. So I'm assuming it got broken. They didn't really delve too much into it,
Yeah, I think part of it snapped or
something
something.
like that. So it's probably
Yeah.
no good. That's why he just took the shells
Mm,
out. But yeah,
that's true. That's probably why they didn't have phones. They were probably just wrecked, maybe.
yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
what we have to just assume.
Okay.
Okay, so
Anyway.
anyways, the guy decides he's not going to go on anymore. He's just going to die there. And they're trying to convince him not, well, Liam's not trying to convince him not to. The other guy, the white guy, is trying to convince him not to. He's like, no, just come on. We got to keep going. Like, what are you talking about? And
Mhm.
he's just like, no, I'm not going on. They they introduce themselves to each other because like they all called each other by their last names, like you
Right.
do. And basically they just leave him there. And okay, go. Because
So
this is the part where I'm like, all right,
okay.
well,
So like I've been saying, everyone sort of gets a really poetic death. And the reason I say poetic is because Liam Neeson's story is about his dad, who's an Irishman. His dad's like your classic Irishman, total drunk, totally violent, never show emotion, never show weakness, but he loved poetry. The
right.
whole movie is based off a poem that his dad wrote called Going into the Fray. This is the
Mm-hmm.
last fight I'll know, live or die on this day. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I did memorize it.
It's a good
So
poem. It's
it's
like
a good
five
poem.
lines. It was good.
So there's poetry and there's poetic deaths in the movie. This is what I was getting at with like the existentialism. I'm
Yeah.
a person who appreciates that kind of sort of underlying. There's more things important than this movie, but the movie's good. Does that make sense? Okay.
Kind of, yeah.
Anyway, so what's really poetic about this guy's death is A, he knows he's dying, and B, he can finally let go of the a-hole character that he's been carrying for so long.
Mm,
And he sits, because an a-hole, like a person who's just a jerk, does not enjoy nature. I don't care who you are. They don't
yeah.
like anything beautiful or funny or sincere. He sits down and he says, look at the view. And it's like he let go of carrying this facade of the mean, rude
Tough
dude,
guy.
tough
Yeah.
guy. And he really embraced the fact that like I am going to die and I did nothing with my life. So I am at least right now going to look at this beautiful view and just enjoy it because I am dying. And I think it was such a beautiful acceptance of like I really am an a-hole, but even I can see beauty. Like, so that's what I mean. Like, everyone who goes to die, something beautiful happens right before or right after they die.
Yeah, that's true. And he was railing against death the whole, like when he was a butthole, he was like, they're not going to get me. I'm not going to
Oh,
die.
yeah. Oh,
And
yeah. He
finally he was like,
raged.
okay, I accept it. I am going to
And
die.
I think it's a beautiful, like, sentiment for, because he said, oh, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in none of that stuff. I think it's a beautiful sentiment for like maybe an atheist to just kind of go, wow, look at the world I live in. Like I'm present right now. I'm being present in the fact that
Yeah.
I'm on this mountain, this beautiful view. Yes, I'm dying, but that wasn't what he was worried about. He didn't even care at that point.
Yeah.
So I think that's like a beautiful, really random character arch where all of a sudden he's like, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. And I'm going to accept that this is my fate. And wow, look at this mountain in front of me. And so I think Liam Neeson just recognizes like he came to it. He finally came to the impasse he needed to come to.
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't have to die, but at that point he was okay with it.
And probably would have died anyways. So
Yeah.
why not die sitting down, peaceful?
So if you think of it the way I do, which I always think about 1,000 layers too deep about everything.
Oh, me too.
Every single person in the movie represents character traits. Like every person represents a part of our personality that we can relate to.
Yeah.
So every time one of them dies, you feel sadness. You feel true sadness about their death because some of them are innocent, some of them are a-holes, some of them are smart, some of them are emotional and sincere, some of them are poetic. So
Yeah.
you're like, when did this become an emotional movie? Why am I crying about Dermot Mulroney?
He's
Yeah,
a relatable character.
We just got into our therapy session. So everybody, you're going to have to leave me there's a fee for this session at the end.
Yes. Namaste.
Yeah. So that's my take on his death.
His death.
Like,
you know, that makes sense to me. And all I know is that he was so annoying to me. When he first started out, I was like, I can't wait till this guy dies. And then by the time he died, I was so glad that he didn't, like at the very end, as they're pulling away from him, I was so glad that we didn't get to see the wolves get him. Because I know the wolves got him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Didn't you feel like a sense of relief?
Yeah.
Because he was such an antagonist the whole way.
Yeah.
And when he finally let go, you're like, yes, thank you. I mean, sorry you have to die, but yes, thank you. Be with
I mean, like
be with God.
You saw his whole body relax.
Yeah.
As he was sitting there, like his whole body relaxed. And then you know the wolves are coming, but then you don't see it. And you're like, all right, he died.
But that's what I'm saying. So
good.
like going back to one of the deaths we didn't talk about, the very first death, this guy's totally gushing out blood from his stomach and he bleeds out.
Oh, from the initial plane crash.
But his death was different. He fought it to the end. Like Liam Neeson had to tell him, you're dying. Stop fighting, basically.
Just think about something good. Think about something nice.
So this is why I asked you, which character do you feel you're like? Because if you look at them, even though it happens kind of quick and whatever, and you don't think about it, each little death along the way, you're like, is that how I would die? Is that what
I would die
that be my
screaming
reaction?
and kicking? I would not want to die. I wouldn't be peaceful about it.
Which is why I said,
denial. Yeah.
I'm Liam Neeson. I will fight the freaking wolf until I'm dead. If I want to go out knowing that I injured the wolf for like,
I tried my hardest.
You know,
I won't ever give up. Not in that case scenario.
Okay, so let's talk about the last death. And it's
the last death we see for sure. Oh man. I mean,
it is the most heartbreaking death because
it's the most painful in my
opinion. Do you want to take it? Do you want to?
Okay, yes.
You take
because
it.
I'm pissed. Well, I'm pissed, but I'm not pissed. Okay, so
I love it.
They've left Diaz behind. They're walking along the river. It's starting to pick up speed, like it's starting to become like rapids now, and then the wolves come out of nowhere.
And right before they come out, I felt like with just these two, they're gonna make it. Like, yes, sure. we got it. He's
they're gonna get there.
Somebody.
They were gonna see happen. Like a cabin in the distance with smoke coming out of the chimney and stuff. Yeah, no,
correct.
Not gonna happen. But the wolves come out of nowhere and they start chasing him. They start running. The white guy falls into the river. I think a wolf jumped at him and it pushed him into the river.
Yeah.
And so he's going and he's freaking out because, it's the rapids and he's flipping all over the place and stuff. Liam Neeson is trying to catch up to him, throws himself in the water to try to grab him. At one point, the white guy gets to this huge log, this huge tree that fell across the river, and rocks had been built up against it. And his foot gets stuck in between the rocks as he's going through. And it's in such a way that oh my God, the water.
Oh my gosh.
Right here.
It's literally less than 6 inches.
Yeah, like he can't sit up enough because he's so far under the tree and so stuck that he can't sit up enough to get above the water.
Yes.
So Liam
No.
Neeson finally gets to him, doesn't realize he's stuck. He didn't realize he was stuck till the very last. He was like, what is this guy doing? Why is he struggling with me? And then he finally realizes it, and the guy's fighting, and
well, Liam Neeson at one point was like, hold your damn breath.
Oh
and
yeah, he was trying to.
He goes in the water and like blows in his mouth.
Yeah.
To like give him air. To tell him, but the guy is just
panicking.
He's panicking, which I will tell you this. I do have like a fear of drowning.
Oh, me too.
I almost drowned in Huntington Beach. Like,
really?
I think I was 12 years old. I think I was under the water for almost 3 minutes. So I that is a scary place to be. What is so infuriating is he's this close
to the
top of the water.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're like, just get your head up. The whole time I'm like this. Come on, like
he wouldn't be able to. No. Yeah, I have a fear of drowning too. Honestly, that's why to me this was the most painful, because from what I hear from like knowledge, it is very painful to drown.
It is. Even just the little bit of water I got, the pressure it puts on your lungs, like I felt sick the rest of the day. I couldn't, like I felt I was in shock so they pulled me out. I'm in shock, and I'm like sitting on the, it's 99 degrees outside, but I'm shivering.
Yeah.
And I had so much pressure on my chest, and even just a little bit of water that went down, I ended up throwing up. So your body does not handle drowning well.
It's immensely painful. Yeah.
I would say that was the most heartbreaking death of the whole movie.
It was, because it almost felt like
personal.
Well, they didn't have enough time. Yeah, they didn't have enough time to get him up. Oh, the poor guy.
And he like supported Liam. So he was like a good guy. He knew stuff about survival stuff, and he knew he was not like you were like you wanted him to survive. Like,
yeah.
Maybe Liam Neeson.
There was nothing wrong with him. There was no bad guy about him.
Right. He was good to everyone. Everyone was good to him, and he followed Liam. So you almost felt even like maybe Liam could save this guy. Like he's one of the good ones. And when he died, I was just, I don't know. I was sad. Like, and then I was rageful because I was like, what was the point? Everyone's dead.
Yeah. And then you think to yourself, Liam's not going to make it. That's when you realize Liam's not going to make it. The only way they even survived a little bit was because they were a pack of people. And that kept the wolves off. So now it's just him.
Do you want to explain now the plot, why they left the plane, and how the very last scene goes?
Why they left the plane?
Yeah, think about it. Where does he end up at the very end of the movie? And he realizes it. Yeah.
That's right. Okay. But wait, I have a quick question. How did Liam get the drowned guy's wallet? Because he has it at the end. How did he get it? Did it fall out of his pocket? I think it may have fallen out of his pocket when he was falling.
Yeah, I think he did. I think it fell out and he had picked it up at one point.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because he had his wallet. Everybody who died, he had their wallets, and I'm like, wait a second, he was under the water. He didn't grab his wallet out of his
and that's why we love Liam, because he's like, come on, you guys, get their wallets. Like, let's tell their families where they are, where their bodies are. Like, you really believe they are going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So where does he end up?
Okay, so at the very beginning of the movie, the reason why they leave the plane is because Liam says, okay, it's not weird that there's a wolf attack. It's weird that they're not going away. He's like, it's possible that these wolves, after our plane crashed, they see the fire, they see the smoke, they smell the blood. It's possible they were just passing through, and that's why they attacked that guy who went pee that first night.
Right.
He goes, but it's also possible that we are within their territory, or we are close to their den. He goes, and wolves have a 300-mile radius territory. Fantastic.
Literally.
Yeah. So he's like, if they're doing this and they keep coming back, we need to move. We need to move away from this plane, because they're just going to keep coming. They're just going to keep coming.
Yeah.
And we're not going to survive. So that's why they leave the plane, because they think their chances are better of getting away from their territory, of getting away from any den they might be near, because they don't see the den Liam even says, like, no, we're not in it right now, but it could be
Right
there or
there,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and they're like, no, they're gonna send a plane for us, and he shuts that down. He's like, they're not gonna
Yeah.
send a plane for us. They don't care about us. And I'm like,
Yeah. He's like,
you
even
know
if they
what?
send 50 planes, they won't find us.
Yeah, you know what, Liam, you're right. Who cares about the man? The man doesn't care about us. You know, it was a very
Mm-mm.
like
Yeah.
against the man type of moment in the movie.
Yeah.
And then you believe him and you're like, man, Liam Neeson could be my dad. I mean, I mean, I'm just saying, like, he really does with confidence lead these men
Oh yeah.
to
He's
their
totally
deaths.
believable.
To their
Well, yeah,
deaths.
he does. He does. But he had the right idea.
Yeah.
And he did have the knowledge, but unfortunately, this is where the last 10 minutes comes in.
Every survivalist who watched that movie was like, what are you doing? You stay, and you stay. You don't
Yeah.
go wandering off into
I
the
mean, wouldn't
forest.
the black box be there with the plane, the black box?
Yes.
And doesn't that thing send out a signal, or it sends
Right.
out something and lets
Right.
them know their last coordinates?
But I have a theory now that we've been
Okay.
talking about it. I didn't want to reveal it before. It's because he was the alpha male. And so even though he was wrong, he was the alpha male and they were going to follow, which is the whole, you know, analogy between the wolf pack and the man pack and
Yeah.
everything. He was deciding for the pack what was good. And then at the very end, where does he end up?
Fighting the alpha.
Yeah. In their den.
In their den. So that's the point. Okay, the guy's drowned. He's like, all right, I guess I'm on my own. He starts going, where the hell did all his coats go? At the very end, he just had a sweater on.
P.S. Yes. So when he jumped in the water to save the guy and his stuff got wet, I was like, okay, but that doesn't mean
You
he
throw it
literally
away.
he was like trudging along at that point in a gray sweater. Can we talk about that?
I was like, well, maybe he's just letting them dry. I'm like, but where? He's walking
No.
away. Like, they're not in his pack. They're not going to dry balled up in a pack. So he just left them.
Okay, hang on. Look, sorry. Like, because I'm literally in my closet. He literally had on like a gray sweater like this, like in Alaska.
Yeah, legit. Like, it was a nice thick sweater, but it's not something you wear in
it was
the
like
frozen
a
tundra.
cowl neck, cute V'd in the neck.
It's a sweater you wear for the Christmas photo.
And I'm like, didn't he? Okay, hold on really fast. Didn't he put a jacket on when he was in the airplane? Like a one that was too small for him?
Yeah.
What happened to that one?
Well, they were all layered. Like, they kept putting stuff on, but like, come on, dude,
Yeah.
like, keep your jacket with you.
It
Even
was
the too
weird.
small one. It'd be better than just your freaking Abercrombie and Fitch sweater.
And it had like the little tassel right here.
Yeah,
like,
it really did.
Sir, that tassel was never going to survive this trip. Who decided that? Okay. Can we please get hair and makeup in here and costuming to talk about the toggle right here?
I know,
okay?
I know. Oh my God. Okay,
Yeah.
so anyways, he's walking, he keeps going. He gets to like the top of this little rise. And for some odd reason, he stops. I think he kind of decided to make a shrine to all the guys that died. I don't know if maybe he was sort of accepting that he wasn't going to make it, because the whole reason for taking the wallets was to take it to their families. So maybe he just didn't realize, he didn't think he was going to make it.
I think he like started to lose hope for just a minute. Oh, hey, bud.
Well, yeah, because that's true.
Oh, hang on, my kid's here. What's up?
Oh.
Yeah, give me about 10 minutes. Okay. Love ya. Yeah, I feel like after the guy drowned, he was like,
and he started shouting at the sky, like he was yelling at God, saying, like, give me a reason to believe. Show me you are real. Show me that I can have faith that this will be okay.
Yeah,
doesn't get the sign.
I told you it's a very existential movie. It's just so subtly done that it's not overpowering, like, oh, this is all about God and Christians and afterlife. You're like, no, this is actually...
it's more about like hope and survival and the willingness to go on. It's really not about God.
And a realistic outlook of, we don't know what happens when we die. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend, but maybe I think there is something and I'm struggling with that.
Yeah.
But it was very subtle, and every person in the movie kind of touched on it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's good writing.
So then Liam at this point has sort of lost his hope, I guess I would say, because he makes a little shrine of all the wallets. He goes through all the wallets looking at the pictures, and it shows Dermot with his little girl. You see his little girl. You see the black guy that died with his niece. You see Diaz is you see his license, but he's all by himself. You see the white guy with either his son or nephew or whatever, and he just kind of makes a little like cairn. I think it's called, like a little cairn of the wallets. And as he's putting him down there, he takes out this letter that he kept reading, like, because he had written it to his dead wife, almost like a suicide note. And he takes it out and he's like putting it in his own wallet. And then sort of the scenery around him has been blurry at this point. But I think at that, because his like head goes up, he kind of notices the scenery around him. And there's all these like deer antlers and bones and everywhere just around him. And he looks around and he's like, I literally just walked into their den. And then that's when all the wolves are just like circling around him. And then right in front of him is the alpha male.
Okay.
Actually, that
and
wolf
again,
right there.
talking about this sort of like, faith, hope, God, whatever, existentialism. He's sort of in a cloud of his own misery and kind of defeated until he looks up. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait a second, where did all this come from? And the imagery follows how he feels about himself and dying and wanting to commit suicide and all of these things. So if you're paying attention, what he does at the very end makes sense. I'll let you finish.
Well, okay, so he sees that he's surrounded by the wolves and he's like, well, crap, I'm in the den. And then he kind of just starts thinking, and he remembers his father's poem where it's like, into the fray I go, something, or you probably know better than me.
But it's like for the last fight I'll ever know, live and die on this day.
So it's like, I got one more battle to do, and it's the last one I'm ever going to know, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to either live or die on this day. And even though he's been suicidal in the beginning, he finally comes to the realization. And I guess now that I think about it, he asked God for a sign. And he asked God for a sign on whether or not he should keep going or if everything's going to be okay. And this was probably God's sign, like, you're not going to be okay, but what are you going to do? Are you going to fight? Are you going to keep trying? Are you going to have faith that you'll be okay? Or are you going to give up?
Are you going to lay down and let these wolves shred you? Or are you going to go out with a fight and possibly survive? Because we don't know, but all of a sudden you feel the energy shift in the movie and you're like, something's happening.
And it does happen. And he puts on that watch to protect his wrist. He duct tapes a knife to his hand, and then he puts these alcohol bottles in between his fingers and duct tapes them and breaks them. And like he's got like Wolverine claws now.
And realistically, just in case anybody doesn't want to know this, but I'm telling you anyway, all he has to do is fight the alpha and win. He doesn't even have to
think. Don't you think the other ones will get him though?
No. Hang on, I'm in the middle. Oh, okay, good job, buddy. Thank you. No, and I'll tell you why. So when the alpha male is killed, the rest of them don't. It's haven't you seen Twilight? Okay, so
but the Twilight wolves are also human.
But if you kill the alpha male, you like become the alpha male. So
you think that the wolves would have left him alone?
Yes.
Until they found another alpha, and then they probably would have been after him anyways, but maybe he could have survived being in the den.
What I'm saying is they sort of like respect the energy that it takes to kill the alpha. So if you killed the alpha, they kind of go, okay, we're not going to mess with you.
Right, because at one point in the movie, the alpha was challenged. When they were all sitting around the fire, they heard the alpha get challenged, and that alpha put that wolf down quick.
That's what I'm saying. So if the alpha is killed and he's no longer able to kill them, they sort of respect the person that killed the alpha. And if you're watching the scene, they don't converge. Only one comes close. Only one comes this close. And so you kind of understand he might be able to take this wolf down. And if he does, we know he'll survive.
Unfortunately, they don't show us. They just show basically it's this picture
Oh
behind
my
me,
goodness.
that picture behind her, and it's just the eyes, and it's just like, okay, this alpha versus that alpha,
Yeah,
who's gonna win? And then you just hear, rah, and then they come at
I
each other like
love
the
it.
Rocky, the end Rocky scene where they go to punch.
Yes.
Yeah, and then it's over.
Yes. I love
Um,
it because he's like, okay, I'll take my glasses off really fast. So his head is down, right? So he's like down and he's got the stuff on his hands. I don't even know that he's sure of himself until
mm-mm,
the moment that he kind of like looks up and then his eyebrows go down and you're
yeah,
like, oh shoot, Liam Neeson,
yeah,
why are my clothes off? Like all of a sudden he's ready for the fight and you're
yeah,
like, hold the phone, he might win.
yeah. I like to think he won. I
I
like
think
to
so
think he
too.
won. Yeah,
I think
I
so
like to
too.
think he won.
They don't show,
So
but
I'm gonna believe it.
I would like to think he at least scrapped himself out enough to run away.
Yeah. Whether or not
That's
they got him after, I don't know, but I feel like
yeah,
he won that fight. I feel like he was stronger than that alpha.
yeah.
That alpha was beautiful, by the way, that
Oh
black
my
wolf.
gosh.
I was like, wow, that's a
Beautiful.
freaking
That's
freaky.
why I
Yeah.
that's why I picked this
Hmm.
one because I was like, that black alpha right at the very end was
Hmm.
so, oh my goodness,
I
and
know.
very stood out. You know, the other wolves were very like gray and mixed, and
Gray.
he was
Hmm.
just all black. Oh,
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved, honestly, I love the entire movie.
Yeah, it was
Nath-
good.
Nathaniel watched it with me. He's like, yeah, I didn't think it was that good. And I'm like, that's because you don't think past like your own nose.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
love,
Eugene didn't like the ending. It
oh,
ended
what
with
did
the
he
black.
say?
He liked the movie. He didn't like the ending because it ended with, the Clash of the Titans, and then he was like, of course. It's people like to have that closure.
Oh,
I
I don't. I love cliffhangers.
I love him to a point. Like this one was fine because I believe because of like you said his determined look, because of what he did, because of the poem, I believe he made it. Sometimes
Yep.
they're too obscure. Sometimes they're just too like
True.
what? And
That's
then you're
true.
like
But
confused and it's yeah.
I love the reason I love a cliffhanger is because, especially if the movie's good, I always am hoping, like, oh, are they going to make a second one?
Oh,
Is
they
there
never
going to
did with the
be,
gray, huh?
and they never did with the gray. And
Mm.
so, which actually I'm okay with too, because it was good. And so it's like, maybe just leave that piece of art where it's at and not,
Right? They make a gray too, and then it's just
and then
awful.
it's just
It's full
awful.
of
Oh,
boobs and sex and stuff. Like,
speaking of awful